This is a screencast on sending out a Google form as a quiz and collecting the student responses and grading those responses. So here we have my healthy eating quiz, and I'll take you down just kind of slowly. We can see all the different questions that I've got going on that I set up for the students to take. And when I go into the preview or view mode, I can see that some questions are worth 1 and 2 points. Some questions are worth more points. This is the student view of it. And I have sent it out to 2 of my students, and they've taken this as a quiz. And so now it's time for me to come in and look at their responses. I can see both of them took it. It was worth a total of 42 points. And so I'm going to click on the responses tab. And once again, I have the summary option and the individual option. Now I've got a third option as well. So this might be informative if I'm looking to see, was there a question that everyone sort of did not do well at? So I've got this category called frequently missed questions, right? And I see who my 2 responders were, and I can see what they responded to, or what their responses were in summary form. I can also come over and look at them individually, and this is what Kiddo wrote, and we can see which ones were not answered correctly. That has the X, and the correct answer is shown. My answer key is shown for me. It looks like Kiddo got question 2 100% right, did well on question 3. This giant grid was a little bit of a struggle, right? And so I can see exactly how my student did. And oh, they didn't spell balance right. And that's actually okay, right? I was like, oh, that's close enough. I know what they meant. I can manually go in and adjust the score and give a point. And then it pops up down here, edits are pending, and I'm going to save that. I'm going to give him credit for that, even though he misspelled it, and that changed his overall score. And that would also be, are you a healthy eater? Why or why not? There's no score right here because that's a sort of a paragraph or a sentence answer, but that's a pretty good answer. It does answer everything. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I get my save that score, right? So that's how I would go through student by student. Now I'm going to come over to student 2. And again, I would be able to see how Joe Youngster did, which ones he got right or wrong all the way through. And maybe I want to go ahead and say, oh, he did spell balance right. Are you a healthy eater? Oh, that's another good point. I'm going to give you all 10 points down there. I'm going to manually edit those short answers and use my teacher brain to do that, and that will change his overall points. Okay, so that's part of the summary versus the individual. I can also get my breakdown of how they did question by question. I don't really care about their first and last names very much. But I can see how they did if I want to compare student 1 and student 2 on their question performance. So coming back to my questions, right, and my responses, I then remember that I can put all of this in a Google Sheet. So I view responses in my sheet, and I actually have it preloaded, so I'm going to go ahead and do that just to make things faster. And this is where we would see it. So I've got my questions in my top row. I'm going to bold that, and I'm in a Google Sheet, which is like an Excel spreadsheet. And see that stamp, and I can see the score, their total score. So if I was putting this in a grade book, that would be the numbers I would want with their name right next to it. And then I do also see their responses to everything all the way through. And sometimes that helps me see what questions they got wrong or were commonly missed. So I can see both of them were fine with this question and this question. They got all of that right. It looks like there's some difference of understanding for how often should you eat the following items. So sometimes as a teacher, that's helpful as well. And then I can see their paragraph answers down over here, and that he simply misspelled the word balance. So this is sort of the printout of their answers, but maybe it's just their grade that I need to capture. And that is in a Google Sheet, which is a whole nother lesson. And it'll be saved as the name of the quiz with the word responses next to it. And as we add more students, we would simply get more lines added into this spreadsheet. And again, I got there by coming back to my quiz to the responses and pressing on the Google Sheets icon and delivering the information from the form to a Google Sheet.